What's going on, Halo fans? Luke TheNotable here, and in this video I want to make sense to some of the new controller options that were given to us with the Cartographer's gift. They gave us the option to choose our look acceleration and also our inner and outer dead zones. Now these are very complicated things, and honestly 343 shouldn't have just given these to us without a little bit more explanation. These are very confusing. I played around with them a little bit and I think I understand what these all mean. So first off, I've got my sensitivity on 10 just to show that this is much, just to show the different settings, and because 10 sensitivity basically makes them all more prominent. I normally play on 4. With this update, don't change your sensitivity. If you normally play on 7, play on 7. If you normally play on 4, play on 4. I normally play on 4 to 6, most of the time 4 though. So first off, look acceleration. What look acceleration is? Look acceleration is not a new thing. It's been in every single Halo, and this is the default here. The default, basically what look acceleration does is the farther you push your right stick, your aim button, the faster your sensitivity goes. So right now I'm on 10 sensitivity and I'm just barely touching my aim stick, my right stick. But if I put it all the way over, I move much faster, and that's something that's always been around. But a lot of people had problems with Halo 5s. They thought Halo 5s was too drastic. So again, let me show you. This is me all the way over on my right stick with 10 sensitivity. And let me show you on 4 sensitivity. This is me all the way over. It's still pretty damn fast. And honestly, that's about the same speed as 10. I'm just going to go down to 1. This is 1 sensitivity. And you can only see like a tiny little difference between 10 and 1 with the look acceleration on default. Now, especially if you have the look acceleration up, you know, even on 1, you're still moving pretty fast when this is your normal look speed. And what look acceleration does is it essentially gives you 2 separate sensitivities. Your aiming sensitivity, which is where you're just kind of moving in front of you, when you're only pressing the right stick a little bit if you want to make small adjustments to your aim, and then your look sensitivity, which is when you want to spin around and maybe shoot a guy in back of you, and that's when you're pushing that right stick all the way over. And it is a good idea for aiming, but a lot of people thought that it was way too much. I mean, people with lower sensitivities were having trouble. Normally they're used to that slow turn and they position themselves like that, and then they're getting this really fast turn. So I have actually completely turned this off. So I basically move in a I basically have a slower turn than most people that have look acceleration on, but it's more uniform. I'm closer to my normal sensitivity, and this helps build muscle memory a lot. When you're essentially playing on 2 different sensitivities, that's hard for muscle memory. It's going to be hard for you to build up your basically your tolerance to your sensitivity. So you want to make sure that if you really, I would suggest to turn off look acceleration. Because while it is a thing, and while you can't completely turn it off, turning it down to the lowest setting, or even 2, is going to benefit you, because the look acceleration in Halo 5, the default setting, is kind of high. So I think you should play around with it, but I would go for a lower number rather than a higher one. And especially if you use higher sensitivities, you don't want that big difference. So let's go on to inner and outer dead zones. These are really confusing, honestly. So what the inner dead zone means is it prevents drift, and you can read that on the bottom there. So basically what this is it sets the input required for you to start moving. And this prevents you from basically flicking your controller a little bit too much. And if I set this down to 0, I can just touch my stick a little bit and I start to move. If I set it to 15, I touch my stick just as much and I don't move. I don't move at all. And honestly, with the inner dead zone, I would turn it completely off. And that's what I've been doing. I've been turning my inner dead zone off. Why? Because I want to make those tiny little adjustments. A lot of times in Halo, you need to make tiny adjustments, and you need, I don't like having the dead zone, honestly. I've been having a lot of success in arena, high-level arena playlists without the dead zone, because I feel like I can make those tiny adjustments. So for outer dead zone, basically outer dead zone is a little more complicated, or I should say a little more confusing. It kind of goes with look acceleration in that it basically is how far you have to stick to the right or the left to get that maximum turn. So if I have my outer dead zone set to 15, it's going to be, I don't have to be all the way to the edge of my controller. I don't have to push my stick all the way right to get that full turn. Right here, I'm at my full highest sensitivity turn, and I'm not all the way over with my stick. Now, if I set that to 0, in order to get that full turn, I have to push my stick all the way over. And honestly, I've been having some mixed feelings with this. I like the fact that in 0, you build more muscle memory, because every single time you push your stick all the way over, you know, a lot of times when people push their stick all the way over, they're wanting to look behind them. And I've found that having a more uniform sensitivity with that 0% outer dead zone helps me a little bit. I also think that if I'm going to have inner dead zone for those tiny little precise movements, if I'm going to have inner dead zone at 0, I might as well have outer dead zone at 0. I don't really recommend going 15 and 1, or 15% for outer and 0% for inner. Essentially, it's preference. If you're more of a close combat player, you'll probably want to put your outer dead zone to 15, because that means you don't have to push your stick as far. But if if you're a higher level player, you need to worry about hitting every single shot. I would not worry about that. I would just put it both inner and outer dead zone to 0, as well as putting look acceleration to 1, maybe even 2 if you want. But I haven't done enough of this. It just came out yesterday, so I can't tell you exactly what I do. But this is my actual setup: is 4 sensitivity, 1 look acceleration, and then inner and outer dead zones are completely 0%. And I found that I am a little bit more accurate, if not just as accurate, with those settings. As I've played, I've realized that I've gotten more and more accurate. I'm going to be doing a shooting tips video soon as well, but just look out for that. Hopefully this brought some sense to it. I think 343 kind of, missed the boat here with telling us exactly what these do. I do like that they gave us the option to change them, but they really should have done more to explain what these are. I mean, if you were a new player and you look at inner dead zone, how do you know what that means? And you have 15 percentages to go off. What's the difference between 0% and 1%? I think there needs to be more explanation here. I think it's very helpful. I think it shows that they're listening to us, but I think the execution is a little off. Hopefully this helped you. If you have any questions, please comment down below. If you have any other thoughts, like if you do something completely different, if you're a guy that goes 15 outer dead zone and 15 inner dead zone, and you have 5 look acceleration, tell us why you do that. I want to create a little bit of a discussion here, because there's so many questions that have to be answered here. But I'm just showing you guys what's worked for me and my kind of idea of what this actually means. But this is what's worked for me. Again, let me recap. With the look acceleration at 1, I get a more uniform sensitivity, meaning that once I'm all the way over with my right stick, if I'm looking at most, I'm going to have a more uniform sensitivity. I'm not going to go from really, really slow to really, really fast all of a sudden. While I won't be able to turn around as fast, sure, but I'll be able to kind of read where my sensitivity is going to be a little bit easier, because I'm not whipping around. I'm going in the same kind of motion. Again, this stuff is hard to explain because it's so confusing. As far as inner and outer dead zones, basically, simplest I can put it, if you want to be more precise, put them at 0. That's going to help your sensitivity be more uniform. If you want to be one of those guys that whips around in close quarters combat, you want to set your inner and outer dead zones to 15, because that's going to allow you to get that quick motion. So thank you guys for watching. Please check out my other Halo videos. I talk a lot about Halo tips. And again, we just hit 3,000 subscribers a few days ago, so I want to thank you all for that. You guys are awesome. Again, comment down below. Great. Bye, guys.